with that, you don't want to pretend you're not anxious. That like faux
Yeah.
fake stuff doesn't work, right? But it's recognizing that the anxiety is there and acting anyways, right? So I've got this, I think it's cool, it might be dumb analogy that I use, where I call it the annoying salesperson, right? So if you're sitting in a huddle, close game at the end of it, right? And so we've all had this, right? You're sitting at home, you're having dinner, maybe at your parents' house or something, and some guy comes knocks on the door, right? And he's like,
Hmm.
"Hey, I'm here to sell you internet or pave your drive," something stupid, right? And like, if your mom or your dad or you go answer the door, you go, "No, thanks, nice plate, yeah, not interested," in your head you go,
Yeah,
"Never
yeah.
come back, like leave me alone," right? And then when you get back to the table, right, parents or whoever go, "Hey, who's that?" And you're like, "Oh, some annoying salesperson," right? And so you then just continue on having dinner, right? And so I think this is a great analogy when I break it down for sports to be like, okay, those anxious thoughts, uncertainty thoughts, bad thoughts, whatever you want to categorize them that you're having are like the annoying salesperson,
Hmm.
right? So you have to accept that they're there. You can't stop them. Like, I mean, there's ways that are highly illegal to stop them from coming to your door, but broadly, you can't stop them from coming to your
Yeah.
door, right? So you have to accept that that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But just like you went back and said to your family, that's what it was, and you started just continuing on with dinner and the conversation, you commit to not letting that influence the next set of actions that you do, right? And
Hmm.
so basically that's just a really like long-winded way of talking about acceptance and commitment therapy, which is one of the main things we do with athletes,
Yeah.
right? Because you accept that those thoughts are there. You did this before your exam. You're like, you're here, I hate that you're here, right? But I'm going to commit to go forward and do this, right?
Absolutely.
What do you think of that
And
idea? I test it
I
all the
think,
time. I want to hear
you
feedback.
know, I think it's very, very, very accurate to a point where it's scary because if to be honest, if you're going off that analogy, what happens if we dysregulate on the field? I would say it's because the buyer, the seller is at the
Yep.
door. Knock knock, you say, "Hey, I'm not interested." And you say, "Well, I just want to walk in and come in."
Yep.
If as soon as that happens,
It's over.
it's over and it dysregulates everything that's going on, and you're not able to get that person out. And it's at that point where I would say, like, emotionally and with experience, even now, like, it happens sometimes that the salesperson walks in and I'm like, I
Yep.
really want you to get out. And it's not getting out. And so I really want you to get out. And it's finding ways to make sure, yes, that the person doesn't come in, but also to figure out, hey, sometimes it's going to happen and they're going to
Yep.
barge in, but you got to figure out a way to get that person out, whether
Yep.
it's an internal cue, an external cue, something to ground you. And I feel like you're able to do that more in the presence of people you trust.
Yep.
If you are in a selection environment where, let's say, everybody around you is a competition, it's really hard to find an anchor to help you get that salesperson out.
Mm-hmm.
And when that salesperson is in and you're going through this process alone, you're battling through these difficulties. Everybody right now around you also has a salesperson in their house
Yep.
and they're struggling, but they're struggling with their own salesperson that they can't help you with your
Yep.
person.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
it's funny. I usually finish, so I'll drive this metaphor home and beat a dead horse, I suppose. But when I'm talking to athletes who are going through it, right? Like literally in the moment, you think about a combine or something like that, right? I always say you wouldn't come back from the anger shows, even if you like blocked them off, right? Like you're like, nope, screw you, not today, right? And then go down and complain for 20 minutes to your family about annoying salespeople and ruin your dinner,
uh-huh.
right? And so as an athlete,
Oh,
right? So even if you stop that moment and you don't let them in, right? You don't go and play like garbage for 20 minutes because you had a salesperson at your door. You don't like those thoughts, right? And so that's where I think it's kind of fun because if I'm talking to athletes before big selection or combines or international like stuff, it's like, okay, you stopped them, good, step A, right? But don't go
mhm.
ruin the next 20 minutes because you had some salesperson come like screw up your dinner. It's you go back to dinner and you tell your family how much you love them and you go have a great dinner, right?
Yeah.
And so the same thing for you guys on the international scene is you've got really the next 2.25 years, well, probably 1.5 really from like qualification to LA, right? Where if I was working with a player like you, it's like, okay, how are we not letting that affect us right now? Because there's going to
Mhm.
be ups and downs, right? This going through your seasons, right? And the last piece that I'll bring into this is that a lot of the time when we're dealing with that angry salesman, we are in this like weird spot where we perceive problems as bigger than they actually are, right? Our feelings lead rather than our actions, right? So
Hmm.
that's a lot of metaphors that I've wound in. But what do you think about that, like in your experience in some of the high pressure situations you've been? If you can think back and be like, oh man, maybe I wish I had that or thought that way, or maybe you already do think that way. This is just a more fun way to capture it.
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, I love metaphors. So
Perfect.
already
Good. Yeah.
we're like I love them. I do them for
Yeah.
absolutely anything.
Good.
It's my way of communicating that I understand what
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
saying, you know?
Yeah.
But in terms of like action based, it is something that even personally, like when I'm in a disorganized state, I would say, whether it be like sports or school or anything, like just just do one little thing. I'm
Yeah.
not saying do the whole thing. I'm just saying do one little thing. You're nervous that, um, let's say, for example, you're not working enough on your speed, let's say.
Hmm.
Well, every time I'm warming up, I'm gonna include a little bit of plyometrics. So I'm like, if I don't have time to do speed session, at least I know that every single time I am training on the field, I am doing a little
Yep.
bit. And it kind of like builds evidence to where I'm like, hey, like even if I didn't do exactly everything I exactly said I was gonna do, here is like a list of all the things that I have been doing right, whether that be nutrition, whether it be sleep, whether it be, so many different things where I'm like, hey, I've been accountable in all of this. If it's 9 out of 10, it's fine, because there always is going to be that probability of chance.
Yep.
And that since I've learned that, even if you do everything you can, like there's always going to be a certain part of chance in whether games, races, whatever. And that has also helped me let go of some things. For
Right.
example, um, we lost well, I wouldn't say we lost. We won a silver medal in Continentals because the game was stopped at halftime. So because of lightning delays and all
Yeah.
that, we were losing at that point in the game 12-0. And the rules are that if you're losing 12-0 at half, it's enough to call the game, and it's frustrating and I'm still having a hard time, to get over that.
Yeah.
But I'm also leaning into there were some key plays that if we would have done better,
Yep.
the outcome would have been different. Or on the other sense, if chance hadn't been on their side, things would have been different. The first time we played Mexico in pool play, uh, the most some of the most unfortunate things I've ever seen in flag football happen. Tried to stretch the ball,
Hmm.
and the ball like it slipped out of her hands. She tried to catch it. It tipped, and a rusher did an interception. It was one of the coolest plays I've ever seen in my whole life.
You're
But
just
that
on the
also,
wrong end of it.
yeah, well, we were on the right end of it because
Right.
we intercepted the ball. They were
Oh,
on the
okay.
wrong
Gotcha.
end of
Yeah.
it. But it was still one of the coolest plays. And I was like, statistically, the chances of this happening are so unlikely. But that's just a part of the game of chance to a certain
Right.
extent. And talent. We got to give it to our rusher,
Yeah.
Leah. She did one heck of a pick. But still, like, there was a little bit of chance into that.
Oftentimes when I talk to athletes about confidence, right? So you're talking about, what it is we're supposed to do and how we, want to get better. We we know this, but we don't know this in sport, right? So as athletes, we go to practice, we watch film, we do routes, like everything, right?